Welcome to Myth and Madness Edition with easy peasy facts. There are stories we whisper and stories we bury. Creatures that walk in dreams, curses that echo through generations, and truths so dark they wear the mask of myth. From skinwalkers to sirens, wendigos to witches, this is where ancient terror lives on. Welcome to Easy Peasy Facts, where facts blur with folklore and reality slips into ritual. This is Myth and Madness, the ultimate folklore horror compilation. Sit back, keep the lights on, and remember, the scariest legends are the ones that never died.
7 interesting facts about interplanar beings. Banshee. 1. Banshees are Irish death fairies, from Celtic legends and mythology. 2. Her name means fairy woman and woman of the hills, as she sometimes appears wandering the hills, where she also remains aimless for several days. 3. Her appearance is that of an ethereal woman, sometimes a young maiden and sometimes a loathsome old hag. Her face is pale and her eyes are red, almost bloody, from pain and crying. According to legend, she usually dresses in green or blue and wears a gray cloak. 4. Banshees announce with their weeping and screaming that death is near. Its song is shrill and terrifying, other times it is a horrible sob that freezes the blood and can only be heard by those about to die. 5. Some banshees are related to a specific family and their song is heard whenever a member of that family dies. In these cases they are not only listened to by the dying person but by all the family members. 6. There are moments when you only hear them and others when you see them too. They also appear at funerals, accompanying the soul of the corpse to the floor of the dead. 7. Banshees that are related to a family do not disappear immediately after death, but remain for a few days after death, washing the shrouds of the deceased in some distant river or stream. Six facts about the magical creature beholder. 1. The contemplator is a monstrous and evil being of exceptional intelligence, very aggressive and greedy. 2. It is known as the tyrant eye, since it is a globular body with a giant eye, more or less spherical, and with about 10 long stalks. Its body is covered in chitin, which gives it great hardness and acts almost like armor. The stalks also have eyes and are located at the top of the sphere. It also has a huge mouth with sharp teeth. 3. The central eye can cast an anti-magic beam that allows it to block any type of magic within its field of vision. The other eyes have different functions, one can cast a spell, another cause sleep, transform to stone, move objects with telekinesis, cast a blaster ray, slow the opponent, and cast the death ray. 4. If it loses a stalk in combat, it only takes a week for it to grow back. These stray pendulums are very useful for magic levitation potions. 5. Contemplators can levitate and float at will. This agility in their movements allows them to easily dodge other attacks, and this, together with the magic of their eyes, makes them very powerful beings. 6. There is a variety of contemplator that lives in the deep sea, and that differs from the previous one in that it has claws similar to those of a crab. In addition, it has 2 extra eyes that allow it to create illusions to deceive its victims. Seven facts about centaurs. 1. The centaur is a being with the body of a horse and the torso, arms and head of a man. 2. It lives in balance with nature, so it only hunts what it needs to live, and, if it cuts down a tree, it plants another. Three, it is common to find them in meadows, clearings and deciduous forests. They are very sociable with other forest species. 4. Centaurs are known for their skills with a spear and bow, although they can also use clubs and shields when fighting. They are beings of great strength, especially for their animal part. This horse part allows them to kick, stomp, and spear charge. Five, their society is made up of tribes where there is usually an elite of warrior centaurs and at least one priest who will be considered the leader. 6. Their fondness for wine is famous, which transforms them into unpleasant and somewhat coarse beings, even aggressive. 7. One of the legends of Greek mythology tells that the first centaur was Chiron. Chiron was a titan who went to war with the young gods on Olympus, but lost. As punishment, Apollo, the god of light and reason, turned him into half man and half horse. The legend tells how he was wounded by a poisonous arrow and, after a time of agony, he renounced his immortality. Chiron gave up his immortality to Prometheus, another titan. Zeus, as thanks for this gesture, drew the centaur form of Chiron in a constellation and gave him the name Sagittarius.
Seven quick facts about Cyclops. 1. Cyclops are one-eyed giants, very strong, stubborn, and abruptly emotional. 2. Its only eye is large and located in the center of the forehead. This eye is credited with special powers, as it is capable of disintegrating almost anything with a glance. 3. According to Greek mythology, there are two generations of Cyclops. The first generation was formed by three brothers, who have been called the main artisans. The second is made up of a group of Cyclops who lived in Sicily. The first generation of Cyclops was made up of the brothers Argus, Radiance, Brontes, Thunder, and Steropus, Lightning. 4. These three Cyclops were, along with the Titans and the hundred-handed giants, the children of Gaia and Uranus. They became the blacksmiths of the Olympus of the gods due to their great aptitude for handling metal. They also forged Zeus' thunderbolt. 5. Uranus, who hated his descendants, kept the Cyclops imprisoned inside Gaia, the goddess Earth, until he was killed by another of his children, Cronus, a Titan. Cronus feared the power of the immense Cyclops, so he locked them up again. Zeus rescued the Cyclops and they with their lightning helped Zeus defeat the Titans. 6. The second generation of Cyclops were the descendants of Poseidon and did not possess the skill for metallurgy that their ancestors had. They were engaged in herding in Sicily, where they lived under no law. 7. The most famous of these Cyclops is Polyphemus, one of the protagonists of Homer's The Odyssey. In the story it is said that Polyphemus was especially cruel and managed to catch Ulysses and his 12 companions, whom he locked in a cave to devour alive. Day after day members of the group were falling until Ulysses got the Cyclops fool drunk with sweet wine until he left him asleep. At that moment he attacked him and injured his only eye. The next day, with the Cyclops practically blind, they manage to escape by leaving camouflaged with the herd of goats. Eight interesting facts about gargoyle. 1. Gargoyles are very fierce and sinister-looking magical monsters. 2. These flying creatures have bat wings, incandescent eyes, small horns and very tough skin covered with a layer of mineral that allows them to go unnoticed on the facades of buildings. In fact, they are often confused with part of the ornamentation of cathedrals, towers and cemeteries. 3. Originally, gargoyles were drainpipes carved in the shapes of animals brought to life by a magician. 4. Being artificially created, they don't need to eat or drink, so when they attack they do it for the simple fact of doing damage. 5. They live in any underground area, where they accumulate the treasures of their victims, so it is common to find them among ruins or caverns. However, when they want to hunt, they usually perch on rooftops to have a better view of what is happening. 6. They can attack by surprise. They remain motionless, like statues, until their victim is close enough. 7. They then carry out a surprise attack to baffle the enemy. Another way to attack is by diving. This form is used when they are on the move and it is too late for the surprise attack. 8. There are two subspecies of gargoyles. Capoesan. It is a sea gargoyle that lives in underwater caves. Their main enemies are sea elves, mermaids. Margola. They are truly ugly gargoyles, with skin very similar to stone. In fact, it is quite difficult to distinguish them from other rocks. They have very powerful claws that they use in their attacks.
Nine interesting facts about golem. 1. A golem is a being magically created from elemental forces. 2. There are arcane manuals where the process of forming a golem is explained. It is believed that the first golem created was made of meat in an attempt to animate the dead. Later, it was tested with different materials such as wood and metals to get a stronger golem. 3. Golems have to be made of some kind of elemental material, and at the moment, only golems made from terrestrial materials are known. The golem's body must be previously carved, either from stone or metal. 4. A golem's driving force is an elemental earth spirit whose nature is unknown. 5. This spirit is linked to the inert body of the golem to give it life. The process of animating a golem is quite long, it requires a whole month without interruption. In this process, conjuring objects such as rods and scrolls can be used to bring life to the golem. 6. Meat golem. It is the easiest to animate since it is organic matter. The golem pieces should be sewn together and should not be badly decayed. These golems are the only ones that have minimal intelligence. 7. Clay golem. These golems can only be animated by priests and require a body sculpted from a single block of clay. 8. Stone golem. A single block of very hard stone, such as granite, is used and must be properly carved. 9. Iron golem. This type of golem is the most difficult to animate. A sword is required to be attached to the golem. Other metals can also be used. Eight interesting facts about mythological creatures. Gorgons. 1. A gorgon is a warrior woman with live hair full of snakes, and a terrible petrifying gaze. 2. The Gorgons are thought to have been part of a race of female warriors. 3. Unfortunately only 3 are known: Medusa, Estino, and Uriel. These sisters, daughters of the marine deities Ceto and Phorcys, formed one of the most powerful and ancient triads in known mythology. They had mental and physical powers and had the gift of healing. 4. It is known that Poseidon and Medusa desecrated the temple of the goddess Athena and, in punishment, Medusa became the only mortal of the 3 Gorgons. Furthermore, she went from being a beautiful young maiden to having the monstrous appearance of her sisters. 5. Gorgons have hideous hair made of living snakes, plus they have wild boar's tusks, bat wings, and a body covered in metallic dragon scales. Their feet and hands are quite claw-like. 6. The gaze of the Gorgons can turn anyone who looks at them to stone, even for a brief moment. In addition, the snakes in her hair can bite and inject venom from half a meter away. 7. Legend has it that Perseus managed to kill Medusa guided by Athena, and using her shield as a mirror to avoid turning into stone. He decapitated her and from her neck came a winged horse, Pegasus. 8. It is also said that on one side of Medusa's body flowed blood capable of resurrecting the dead and, on the other, a deadly poison. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell to be notified of new videos. 7 facts you probably missed about Greek mythology. 2. Ares was not that powerful and Artemis was a killer. Ares may be the god of war, and his name may be a synonym for bloodshed, but he always obeyed his sister Athena's orders in Greek mythology. Athena, like her brother, also oversees war and she is the goddess of defense and righteous battle, which makes Ares bow to her. As seen in the Iliad, Athena often intervenes on behalf of a fair battle and Ares always backs down. Artemis is the daughter of Zeus and the twin sister of Apollo. Artemis is the huntress and the protector of animals. She's also the goddess of childbirth and the destroyer of young women. Artemis once killed 6 daughters of Niobe for insulting her mother, Leto. 3. Theseus was a manipulator. Everyone knows the story of Theseus slaying the Minotaur in Crete and managing the impossible exit of the labyrinth, which cost many people's lives in Greek mythology. He did all that with the help of the Cretan princess Ariadne. He later took her with him when he left the island, only to abandon her on the Greek island Naxos. According to Plutarch, when Theseus founded today's capital of Greece, Athens, he decided that the best way to populate it was by abusing the women, thus earning the eternal hatred of his new family. 4. Medusa was not the only monster in Greek mythology. Medusa is famous for her snake hair and her appearance that would turn anyone who looks into her eyes to stone. What is often missed is that Medusa was the only mortal of the 3 Gorgon sisters. Steno and Euryale were immortals and they also had snakes for hair. Echidna was a sister to Medusa and wife to Typhon, a 100-headed dragon. The 2 of them gave birth to many famous and terrifying monsters like the Nemean lion, Cerberus, Hydra, and Ladon. She was also mother of the Chimera, the Sphinx, Scylla, the Colchian dragon and the eagle that ate Prometheus' liver every day for an eternity as was his punishment. 5. Zeus, the serial predator. Zeus is the ruler of the gods and has fathered many important figures in Greek mythology. Zeus used to take an animal's form to fulfill his desires. He charmed both Demeter and her daughter Persephone, who later married his brother, in a serpent's form. He also took the forms of many other animals, and took advantage of many women. He pursued Asteria and Aegina as an eagle, Botus as a goat, and Europa as a bull, among many others. He also took advantage of some women by letting them believe he was their husband. A glaring example is the story of Alcmene, Hercules' mother. 6. The Olympians were not the first immortals in Greek mythology. Before the Olympian gods, there were the even older Titans. First there was Chaos, father to Gaia, Earth, and Eros, love. Gaia gave birth to Uranos, sky, the sea and the mountains. Later, she married Uranos and gave birth to the Titan Cronus. Cronus married his sister Rhea and bore the original Olympian immortals, Poseidon, Demeter, Hera, Hestia, Hades, and Zeus. The Olympian gods even went to war with the Titans for control of the world in Greek mythology. 7. Pandora had a daughter and Aphrodite went to war. Pandora, the woman who opened the box of evils onto the world, was the wife of Epimetheus and mother to a mortal daughter, Pyrrha. Because of Pyrrha's marriage to her cousin Deucalion, the gods sent a massive flood to destroy the earth and the mortals. However, Pyrrha and Deucalion managed to survive the flood, and after seeking help from the oracle at Delphi, they cast the bones of Pandora to the ground so that the world would be repopulated. Thus, Pandora is the mother of the human race. Even though Aphrodite was the goddess of love and beauty, she was also romantically tied to Ares, and bore him 3 children, Eros, Phobos, and Deimos. This is why she's often associated with warfares. Statues and depictions of her wearing armor and armed with weapons have been found in several port cities. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell to be notified of new videos. 6 interesting facts about Leviathan. 1. Leviathan is a monstrous being, belonging to Hebrew mythology, a mixture between a sea serpent and a whale. 2. It is a being known since ancient times. In the Bible, descriptions of Leviathan are read in different passages and it represents a huge sea monster created by God and symbolizes evil. It has come to be thought that it may also be a kind of giant crocodile since, in the book of Job, the Leviathan represents the crocodile that must be hunted. 3. It has a body with very close scales, as a protective shield, sharp teeth and a reptilian shape. In fact, it is quite similar to a wingless dragon in its external appearance. Its scales are emerald green or turquoise. 4. It is capable of expelling a vaporized acid through its mouth, thus being able to cause corrosive burns on its victims. Her eyes are always illuminated, as if incandescent. 5. It is a very fierce and strong being. The stories about Leviathans have been very famous among fishermen, since the Leviathan is a very feared monster in marine waters. 6. The fact that the Leviathan is present in fresh and salt water suggests that, perhaps, they are 2 different beings with the same name. Or, perhaps, there is a river Leviathan and a sea Leviathan. 11 facts about lycanthropes. 1. Lycanthropes are human beings who can fully or partially transform into animals. 2. 3 types of werewolves can be distinguished. True werewolves, for whom lycanthropy is a genetic trait. Infected werewolves, their lycanthropy appears when they are injured by a real lycanthrope. Artificial werewolves, they can control their lycanthropy through magical items. 3. Lycans usually have 2 forms, that of the human and the hybrid. The hybrid form possesses features of the animal it resembles and also possesses human features. The hybrid form is the size of the animal, and not the human. Some werewolves present a 3rd form, which corresponds only to that of the animal, without any human traits. 4. Any creature that has been injured by a lycanthrope, but not killed, can contract its lycanthropy. The probability that this lycanthropy passes to the victim is greater the stronger the true lycanthrope is. 5. To remove the curse it is necessary to cast the appropriate spell during a full moon night, although this system is not infallible. This affliction can only be removed from infected werewolves. 6. True werewolves have complete control over their bodies, can change forms at will, and are not altered by the phases of the moon or darkness. These situations only affect infected werewolves. These are human during the day and usually change shape at nightfall. And, more so, with the full moon. 7. An infected werewolf who takes hybrid form sees his strength increase as he loses control of his actions. The desires to kill and hunt become very strong. Upon returning to human form, they often have bitter memories of the acts performed. 8. In hybrid or animal form, werewolves are only hurt by silver or magical weapons, as other items cause wounds that heal very quickly. (9) The group of artificial lycanthropes is much more complex. Only some members of certain guilds can be honored with the magical item that caused their lycanthropy. When they touch the item they transform into a werewolf, and can revert to human form whenever they want as long as they are carrying the item. 10. Werewolf. Werewolves are lycanthropes that have both human and wolf traits. They are greatly feared for their aggressiveness and evil nature. 11. A werewolf has three forms of lycanthropy: the human, the hybrid between human and wolf, and the wolf. In his humanoid form he is totally indistinguishable from the rest of humans. The size, intelligence and other characteristics of him are the same as those of any man. In his hybrid form he has characteristics of both a man and a wolf. It has a fur-covered body, shorter legs, although its overall size is usually about 12 inches larger than its human form, a wolf's head, human's hands, and a short tail. It can walk on all four legs or upright. The wolf form is completely identical to that of any large common wolf, except for its eyes, which glow in the dark. Werewolves, in their hybrid form, live in packs of about 6 or 7 members. They are made up of a male, a female and puppies. The cubs remain in the pack until they are 10 years old, the age at which a werewolf is considered an adult. If a werewolf mates with a human woman, the baby is fully human. Werewolves, in their human form, do not usually live in houses as they are not very sociable beings. They do so in well-protected caves and burrows, where they keep their pups away from humans. Werewolves, in their animal form, are often nomadic, constantly prowling in packs looking for humans and other victims. Being very wild and aggressive, they are enemies of any being that opposes them, even other lycanthropes such as werebears. The werewolf's tactic is to attack by surprise, approaching carefully and taking advantage of its sharp fangs to bite and tear at its victims. A werewolf can only be hurt by magical or silver weapons. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell to be notified of new videos. Five quick facts about mummies. 1. A mummy is a corpse reanimated and preserved through the centuries through dark and secret rituals. 2. The mummification process consists in the maintenance of the body avoiding its decomposition, and it can be natural, if corpse has been preserved in a rarefied atmosphere, for example, in a dense swamp, or artificial, if the corpse has been preserved through magical potions and ointments. 3. The resulting mummy is usually completely wrapped in funeral bandages that cover a dry and dark-colored body. In fact, the word mummy comes from the Persian mumia, which means bitumen. 4. The mummy's reanimation process is closely guarded by priests and shamans who worship dark gods of the desert. 5. During the resuscitation rituals, the mummy is linked to a certain tomb or temple, which it will protect for life, and its actions are directed by the spirits and magical energies used during said ritual. The mummies are, therefore, the eternal guardians of tombs. Eight quick facts about the orcs. 1. Orcs are a degenerate species of elves, evil and dark. They are humanoids with long arms and bowed legs, a hunched figure, with grayish-green skin, a snout and highly developed canine teeth. They measure between 1.6 and 1.8 meters and usually live about 40 years. The ogres are huge humanoids with a rude and unpleasant appearance, bad character and very gorilla. An orc has skin that is dark green, or even purple, and riddled with warts. It also has abundant hair on the body of a very dark color. Its fetid odor is perceptible at a great distance. 2. Orcs live in tribes and adapt well to any climate, which is why they can be found in mountains, plains, and drylands. An orc lives by ambushes, incursions and looting. Their intelligence is not too high, so they cannot be expected to use many combat tactics. The smartest orcs in their tribe will be considered as leaders. 3. They are very greedy beings, so they are always hunting and capturing humans, elves or dwarves to keep them prisoner and steal all their belongings. Orcs prisoners are often used as slaves or for food. 4. Orcs are carnivorous and cannibals. Their society is made up of different races, the weaker being slaves to the stronger ones. 5. They are nocturnal beings who are often weakened, even mortally, by sunlight. They have developed a special ability for night vision, which allows them to attack by surprise at night. 6. An orc is a being that is often driven by hatred and would rather fight than use good tactics. Although superior races of orcs are known to have managed to wage wars for years thanks to their excellent strategies. They are enemies, among others, of elves and humans, but they are also enemies of many other races. If they ally with other beings, they are not usually loyal. 7. Eastern Wizard Orcs. These orcs have blue, green or brown skin, but always in a light shade. Their hair is also usually blue or green, but darker. They are taller and smarter than ordinary orcs. They dress in oriental clothes and some are real experts in martial arts. Eastern orcs avoid using physical force whenever possible, so they will either attack or defend using magic. 8. Marrow, aquatic orcs. These orcs inhabit the caves in the fresh waters, and although they can live out of the water for a few hours, they seldom come to the surface. They have a bluish-green color that allows them to be completely camouflaged among the waters. Their body is covered in scales, and they have webbed hands and feet. Their nature is evil and they are much more aggressive and ferocious than common orcs. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell to be notified of new videos.
If a voice calls to you in the dark, you might not want to know what's waiting on the other side. They live among us, they walk unseen, and sometimes they watch. Skinwalkers aren't campfire tales or bedtime monsters. They're real in Navajo legends, dark witches, shapeshifters, beings born of blood and forbidden rites. To become one, a man must commit the unthinkable, a terrible sacrifice within the family. Welcome to Easy Peasy Facts, where truth blurs with myth, magic, and the unknown, where the real world whispers and something darker answers. These are the 7 facts you need to know if you ever hope to survive an encounter with a skinwalker. 1. Never answer the voice.
Hey, come here.
It starts small. A cry in the woods. A familiar voice calling your name. Your mother.
My baby.
But those who answered were never seen again. The skinwalker imitates the voices of those you love. It bends them, twists them, lures you out, and takes you. 2. Fire is your only sanctuary. In the dark, there's one thing they truly fear: fire. It cleanses, it purifies, it burns through their spell work. If you feel watched, if the trees whisper your name, light a flame. Even the smallest one might keep you safe. 3. Don't look it in the eyes. They wear the forms of wolves, owls, coyotes, but their eyes are wrong, human, too human. And if you lock eyes with one, you might lose yourself, you might not come back. Some say a single glance is enough for them to take control of your thoughts, your voice, your skin. 4. Silence is your shield. Never speak their name, never mock them, never invite the story in. Among the Navajo, to even mention a skinwalker aloud is to risk being heard, and once they hear you, they come. 5. Trust no one. They can mimic anyone. Your mother's smile, your lover's laugh, even your own reflection. If something feels off, don't stay to find out why. 6. Silver can hurt them, but it's not enough. A silver blade might slow them. A blessed coin might buy you time. But what matters most is the will to fight when it counts. 7. And above all, stay away from Skinwalker Ranch. In the deserts of Utah, there is a place where the veil grows thin, where time slips, shadows walk, and something is always watching. It's not just a legend, it's a warning. They're not just monsters, they're what we could become if we cross the line. So next time you hear a voice in the dark, don't answer. And whatever you do, don't look back. Skinwalkers are more than just stories. They're warnings, echoes of something we still don't fully understand. If you want to keep exploring the shadows where fact and folklore collide, subscribe to Easy Peasy Facts and step deeper into the unknown. Because sometimes, knowing the truth is the only way to survive it.
9 facts about the mythological creature Sphinx. 1. A sphinx is a winged being with the body of a lion and a human torso. His head is usually dressed in the headdress of the gods. 2. The name Sphinx comes from the Greek sphingo and means the strangler. They are not as strong as androsphinges, but they are more intelligent and wise. 3. In Egyptian mythology, the Sphinx is a male statue with the body of a lion, the torso of the man, and sometimes with wings. Human heads were representations of kings. One of the most admired sphinxes is the one attributed to King Khafra. In it the king is represented with the body of a lying lion. 4. In Greek mythology, the Sphinx was a demon that heralded bad luck, death, and destruction. Its description is still that of a winged lion with a human torso, but in this case, it is a female torso with a snake tail. 5. This Sphinx would lie down on the rocks and throw riddles at whoever passed by. If the passerby did not get the riddle right, he was strangled by the Sphinx with his tail. 6. They also have magic and can cast many types of spells, one of them being clairaudience, which allows them to hear comments from other beings even when they are not nearby. 7. They live in warm and desert climates. They love puzzles and often help travelers in exchange for puzzles or other information they find interesting, such as the location of an androsphinx. 8. They are treasure lovers, so they accept gems and gold in exchange for a favor. 8. Cryosphinx. They are male sphinxes with the body of a winged lion and the head of a ram. They are of low intelligence, and neutral character. They are not as strong as androsphinges, but still have powerful claws and the horns on their heads to ferociously attack the enemy. They are dedicated to locating gynosphinges to mate with them. Upon locating the cave of a gynosphinx, they fight among themselves and the male who wins the fight enters the cave. 9. Hyracosphinx. These evil-natured sphinxes have low intelligence but are physically very strong. They are male lions with wings and the head of a falcon. They cannot cast spells, so in combat with other beings they fight fiercely, attacking with their claws or sharp beaks. They are usually found in bands of about 10 hyracosphinges. Hyracosphinges are eternal enemies of androsphinges. 10 Spooky Facts about Succubus Demons. 1. These demons always have the appearance of a woman of extraordinary beauty, perfect skin and dark or reddish hair. Possibly the same aspect of Lilith, Queen of Darkness and Night, from whom all other succubi are believed to be descended. 2. They hide behind this attractive facade in order to attract and tempt mortals who cross their path. Her only mission is to attract first, to torment later. 3. Their movements are agile and precise. Their way of walking is very seductive and they have a great presence and charisma. That kind of charisma that fascinates and almost mesmerizes their interlocutor, although an astute viewer could tell that she is a demon by that flash in her look of dark and sick desire. 4. They speak several languages, so they have no problem striking up conversations and establishing new social relationships. They could be considered the ideal company if it weren't for the fact that sometimes they get carried away and show off their most lewd side. 5. Succubus demons do not need to be aggressive and, moreover, they avoid conflicts. They prefer to use their persuasiveness and people skills to achieve their goals. 6. Once they have chosen the mortal, they try to get away with him from the crowd, and then they use their ability to suggest, much like that of vampires, to make him believe almost anything they want. When the victim enters that hypnotic state, he is attacked by the succubus, which consumes the victim's energy. 7. These demons draw on the vital energy of the mortal, energy that also allows them to maintain their youthful and charming appearance. 8. After the state of unconsciousness, the victims pass into a deep sleep from which they usually wake up exhausted, depressed and with the sensation of having lived a horrible nightmare, although if the succubus succeeds extracting energy, they may not be able to wake up and end up dying. 9. Something that amuses these succubus demons a lot is attacking virtuous men or those who have taken a vow of chastity. They love to torment them when they wake up from sleep with memories of orgies and perversions that make them feel very ashamed. 10. Snake eyes, fangs, bat wings and tail are martyrdom extra that they enjoy when their victim doesn't particularly like them. Eight facts about the lycanthrope swan woman. 1. Swan women are humans who can transform into swan. 2. They have different qualities depending on whether they are in human or swan form. 3. A swan woman is characterized by feathers in her hairstyle, clothes, and the seal on her ring. These objects give it a special property, that of voluntarily transforming itself into a swan or a woman. She therefore belongs to the group of artificial lycanthropes. 4. If a swan woman loses her transformation magic item, she is trapped in whatever form she was in at the time. 5. They live in the waters of forests, where they build their fortified housing for possible attacks. These accommodations have 2 secret exits through which they can only escape in their swan form. 6. They belong to a special ranger brotherhood, and are dedicated to the protection of forests and wildlife. For this purpose they are armed with daggers, bow and arrows. 6. Their personality is greatly influenced by their swan form, thus they are lovers of silence and friendly towards creatures of the woods such as dryads and wild elves. They are suspicious of ferocious, aggressive and evil animals. 7. With a human form, it is totally indistinguishable from another woman, although they always carry a feather that gives them a characteristic touch. Even so, they are not usually found among humans. 8. In their swan form they usually inhabit rivers, lakes and swamps, along with other aquatic species. Swans have very keen senses with which they quickly detect an intruding presence. Faced with a hostile being, they defend themselves by stinging, jumping and striking with their wings. 7 facts about the mythological creature unicorn. 1. The unicorn is a magical animal with a noble, pure and very spiritual character. 2. Its appearance is that of a young horse, usually white, with a spiral horn, antelope legs, a goatee, and a lion-like tail. His eyes are deep blue and his intelligence is comparable to that of a human. 3. It has been a symbol in various cultures of holiness, virginity and strength. In fact, it is already described in the book of Job. However, despite the numerous texts naming the unicorn, its provenance is unclear. One possibility is that it originated in India, like a Hindu donkey, of colors very different from white. 4. It is also thought that it may originate from Africa, and that we would be facing an antelope with only one horn. Another theory is that it may be a somewhat exaggerated description of a real animal from Tibet that possibly went extinct. 5. They are believed to be immortal, but it is possibly the fact that their half-life is over 1,000 years that suggests this. Their longevity is due to the magic of their horn, which makes them always look youthful. 6. The unicorn presents a special resistance to magic. He is immune to spells, death spells, and poison. Its magical horn detects poison and heals wounds with a simple touch. In addition, their magic allows them to teleport if they need to flee from any danger. 7. He is an independent and solitary being who allows few contacts. He only shows himself to pure-hearted maidens, usually human or elven. This fact has been taken advantage of by villains to capture unicorns. Once the unicorn allows itself to be touched, it becomes such a loyal mount that it will protect its rider even with its own life. Eight fascinating facts about the Valkyries. 1. The Valkyries are goddesses of Norse mythology, daughters of Odin, and powerful warrior specters. 2. They have the appearance of a young and beautiful Nordic warrior, tall, with marked muscles, large blue eyes, long, braided blonde hair. They like to be dressed in horned war helmets. 3. They usually ride on the back of flying horses and are fabulous Amazons. They are skilled with the spear, with the bow and with the sword. His strength is superhuman, divine, as is his stamina and agility. 4. They live between the plane of the living and that of the gods, known as Asgard. On this plane there is a place called Valhalla, the Hall of the Dead in combat, where the heroes who perish during a battle are received. 5. The Valkyries sense the death of brave warriors, so when a battle is fought they appear on the plane of the living. From heaven they contemplate the fight, and when it comes to an end the Valkyries choose the dead who will be taken to Valhalla. But they not only accompany the dead on their journey to Asgard, but also take care of them during their stay in Valhalla, just as Odin ordered. 6. The Valkyries are led by Brunhilde, the strongest and most powerful of the Valkyries. When they descend from the skies and find a battle, Brunhilde directs and leads them. 7. Brunhilde has the ability to turn the Valkyries into muses of war, inspiring warriors to fight, increasing their bloodlust, and causing them to frenzy so that they feel no pain or bleed from their wounds. Once the fight ends, the frenzy disappears and the warrior dies. 8. It is said that some Valkyries spend long periods of time on the terrestrial plane, leaving their usual spectral warrior form to live in the form of a huge and beautiful swan.
Seven facts to know to survive a Wendigo. 1. The Wendigo is a demonic spirit rooted in Native American folklore. In some scary stories, this supernatural creature can curse and possess humans, causing them to become cannibals and induce psychotic states that cannot be appeased. Probably the first zombie stories are born from it. 2. Also known as Wendigo, Wendigo, and Witiko, the Wendigo was a mainstay of Native American folklore. The first Wendigo was said to have been a warrior who made a deal with the devil. In exchange for superhuman strength and stature, necessary to defeat the enemy and thus save his tribe, the warrior gave up his soul. When the battle was over, the warrior returned to the village now transformed into a Wendigo but was banished and was forced to live as an outcast. To add insult to injury, another side effect of turning into a Wendigo was having cannibalistic desires. 3. Those unfortunate enough to come face to face with a Wendigo would have been dealing with a 15-foot-tall anthropomorphic beast, with a generally malnourished body that featured glowing eyes, dog-like teeth, a long tongue, and no lips. His skin was gray and flaky and he smelled badly of decay. Some accounts have the Wendigo as having horns, and most describe the hands and feet with dagger-like claws. No matter how much human flesh he consumed, he was always hungry. Many claimed that his hunger grew in proportion to the amount of meat he ate. 4. Often plagued by cold and hunger, members of Native American tribes living in Canada and near the Great Lakes of the United States must surely have considered cannibalism as an option for survival. Not surprisingly, in those regions it is believed that the Wendigo wanders through the woods. Native American tribes perpetuated the idea that if a person ate human flesh, they would be turned into a Wendigo. This story played an important role in tribal life. 5. According to legend, it is nearly impossible to escape a Wendigo. Hunters by nature, Wendigos are extremely fast and allow nothing to get in the way of their will to sat an endless hunger. However, even if you managed to escape the Wendigo, you would still be mentally tested by the sight of the creature. In short, he would go crazy. Wendigos hibernate for months or years but trouble when they wake up. Wendigos can stalk victims for long periods, thanks to supernatural speed, stamina, and keen senses such as hearing. These creatures have ears so fine that they can hear their prey's heartbeats miles away. 6. Variations of Wendigo transformations told by explorers and missionaries as early as the 17th century tell of other ways ordinary people have encountered this gruesome transformation. Some turned into a Wendigo after meeting him in the desert, others after being possessed by the creature in their dreams. Even more, she notices a fleeting glimpse of a creepy creature or savors its unfamiliar, rancid scent before death occurs between them. 7. Injuring a Wendigo is not enough to stop it as its flesh regenerates quickly. The trick would be to use silver bullets, a pure silver blade or stake, to pierce his heart. After hitting the Wendigo's heart, you must take care to shatter it into pieces, then lock the shattered heart in a silver box and bury it in a graveyard. What remains of the Wendigo must then be dismembered with a silver axe in order to salt and burn the body, then scatter the ashes to the winds. Skipping even one step of this ritual could allow the Wendigo to resurrect.